everyone. So um, the translation for Husn al-Zan, I know everybody knows it who knows Arabic, Husn al-Zan. The other one is the Su' al-Zan billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In English translation is having a full trust or having a good opinion of Allah, expectation. So to start it, the Imran ibn Hassan radiallahu anhu states that the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, كان الله ولم يكن شيء قبله وكان عرشه على الماء ثم خلق السماوات والأرض وكتب في الذكر كل شيء, which can be translated to as there was Allah and nothing else before him, and his throne was over the water, and then he created the heaven and earth and wrote everything in the book. So everything that been prescribed for each one of us. It was like, I can go to this next slide, it would be like 50,000 years ago before the creation of the heavens and earth. Anything that will happen in our life, the good thing and the bad thing, and which is part of our iman. أن يؤمن الإنسان بقدر الله خيره وشره. So we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the destiny, the good thing and the bad thing on it. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiyallahu anhu ascribed to Allah Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that Allah wrote all the decree of all the creation 50,000 years before the creation of the heavens and the earth, and his throne was over the water. And this is reported by Muslim. And it's mentioned also in the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Surah Tawbah, Ayah 51, قُلْ لَن يُصِبْ بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قُلْ لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا هُوَ مَوْلَانَا وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Say, O Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nothing can ever reach us except what Allah has written for us. He is our master, and in Allah alone the believers must place their trust. Before I go to, dear brothers and sisters, we must have firm belief, and without any doubt that any good or bad that occurs to a person throughout his life is already prescribed. And if all human being, and it's revealed by the Prophet ﷺ, which can be translated to, لو اجتمع الإنس على أن ينفعوك بشيء فلن ينفعوك إلا بما كتبه الله لك وإن اجتمعت الإنس والجن على أن يضروك بشيء فلن يضروك إلا بما كتبه الله لك, which can be translated as if all human beings gather to benefit or harm a person, they won't not benefit or harm him only with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already prescribed. And also it says, أنما أصابك لم يكن ليخطئك وأنما أخطأك لم يكن ليصيبك. That means nothing will has come to you that could not miss you, and whatever in anything that has missed you could not come to you. So because of all this, Allah basically, He's gonna put all of us on a test. So one might ask a question, why there is a good and there is a bad? And we have created. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make it even good for everyone. But Allah, He wants to be tested, to try everyone in their own, and to test them in their belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we all swear in Arafah, the 50,000 years, that yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we believe on anything that you have said. And we are all going to go through tests. And the Prophet are the most are tested, and they are over the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Ankabut, which is called spider in English. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون ولقد فتنا الذين من قبلهم فليعلمن الله الذين صدقوا وليعلمن الكاذبين, which can be translated to English as Alif Lam Mim. Have the people supposed that they will left alone to say we believe without being put on the test? We have tested those before them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will surely know the truthful, and He will surely know the liars. So, as I said, we are going to go through a test, and then where we're going to be tested? We're going to be tested on our nafs, and we're going to be tested on our wealth. We're going to be tested on our health, and we're going to test on so many things. We lost our relatives. We lost our jobs. People, they're trying to get married, but it will take them a little bit more time. People, they don't have kids. They wait a long time to have kids. So everything like this is all a trial from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, let me say it in English. It's come to Abdullah bin Mas'ud, and you know Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he was a youth boy that he grew up with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he is the person he's the second to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to learn the Quran, and and he was following the footsteps of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he did say, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud say, may Allah be pleased with him, and he's swearing by Allah, there is no God but Him. The servant believer is not given anything better than having a good thought and opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by the one beside whom there is no God, and he swear, La ilaha illallah. Any servant that Allah who has a good opinion, Allah will give him that belief because all goodness in His hand. Whatever you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will give it to you. If you believe a good from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will give it to you. If you believe something not good will happen to you, that will happen. And we will go through another slide that from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Surah Al-Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم فزادهم إيمانا وقالوا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل فانقلبوا بنعمة من الله وفضل لم يمسسهم سوء واتبعوا رضوان الله والله ذو فضل عظيم إنما ذلكم الشيطان يخوف أولياءه فلا تخافوهم وخافون إن كنتم مؤمنين. Do we need to translate it? I can translate it. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Imran, Ayah 3, Ayah 173 through 175. Those whom the people had said, the people have mobilized against you, so fear them, but this only increased them in faith. And they said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough for us. He is the excellent protector. So they came back with grace from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and bounty, and no harm having touched them. They pursue what pleased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah possesses immense grace. That is only shaitan frightening his partisan. So do not fear them, but fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fear me if you are a believer. And from this ayat we can pull two main things. We can talk about it later. إنما ذلكم الشيطان يخوف أولياءه. A shaitan, that's the main cause of all this if somebody will have either trust in Allah or a bad thought of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what it says in the ayah, that the shaitan yukhawwifu awliya. That means when these people came in to the group of the companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because this ayah was done for one of the battle they are going through, and but the group, the unbeliever, they sent one person, and he talked to the believer, and he tell them that, why are you going? You're all gonna killed if you leave. Don't go. Don't leave your home, your kids, and your wives. And so that's from shaitan. When a person came, because those leaders from the mushrikeen, they send him, they want to create a fear in the heart of the Muslims not to go fight the unbelievers. And this is from shaitan. But did the companion obey them? They don't, because they say, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. Although you come in to make us fear to go for the sake of Allah. But that's the Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil. That's the good dhann and hasd dhann billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They believe in Allah. What they go into is great, and Allah will not leave them alone. And what's the result? Allah says, فَانْقَلَبُوا مِنْ نِعْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَفَضْلٍ لَمْ يَمْسَسْهُمْ سُوءٌ وَاتَّبَعُوا رِضْوَانَ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ ذُو فَضْلٍ عَظِيمٍ. Subhanallah. Allah give them ni'mah, grace from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because what they thought about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine people, they think otherwise. Of course, Allah, He has His decision, either to follow the people thinking. The next slide, and it comes for the interactive, maybe one of the main question here. The first question we can see, what is the main cause of having su'u dhann billah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So the husnul dhann is to have a good expectation from Allah, that anything that comes to you, if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dua, and you're expecting a good answer from Allah, you should get. That's a husnul dhann billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're asking Allah a dua, and you say, Allah, He's not going to answer me, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's a su'u dhann billah, because you don't know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you answer what you want. So anybody has any thought about this? What is the main cause of having su'u dhann billah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or a bad opinion about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Weak iman. Okay. Sisters, anybody has any? Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good answer, yeah. Lack of knowledge, yeah. But there is one main cause. We just read it on the previous ayah. Shaitan. Because shaitan, he's behind everything. He whispered to Adam alayhi salam when he was in heaven, and he swore to God that he will follow all his creation until he misguide them. So, of course, weak of iman is a reason also. But how we get a weak iman? Because sometimes we go kind of low on our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's how shaitan is going through. He's just gonna follow those people still until they basically broke. So people, they are strong, and they're strong in the iman. The shaitan, he will try, and after that he's just gonna. These people, they are so strong, they are so protecting against whatever he can do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the protecting. So, like it says, as we say earlier, it's in the slide 6 we just passed here, ayah 75. I hope I don't take too much time, but I will try to go so quick, so I will not take more than 20 minutes. So, ayah 175, Allah explained that the shaitan is the cause of bad thought about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like you say, sisters, or the brother who says so, we know iman is increases and decreases. Okay, and increase and decrease. It increases by knowing better Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sifat and His names. And if we know them, we have to understand them, and we have to believe what's behind Allah's decision through this name. And iman is also decreases. Iman is increase when we do good deeds. Our iman is decreased when we do bad deeds. So, when we do sins. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us learn more about His sifat subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so we can increase our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all and we have a husn al-dhan bihi subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we can go to the next one here. The following one is, how can someone is having a su'u dhan billah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can? So we talked about what is the main cause? Weak iman, shaitan, and now we're gonna. Anybody has any idea about how can someone is having a su'u dhan billah or a bad thought about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Okay. We believe in your dua. Okay. Anybody else?
Maybe sometimes you want something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you want it to happen very quickly. You don't have sabr or patience.
Okay.
You can see how Allah will give you that thing, or how Allah will make things work for you.
You are rushing to get what you want, and there is no patience. Okay, mashallah. Yeah. And so this question has been asked to Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi, the same question, and he was asked how a person can have a bad expectation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he did say it can be happen by action of shaitan, because we did say the shaitan is the main source of us to get to the wrong belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He did say the constant fear, like which in Arabic says al-khawf da'im min waqi' musiba. It's like you wake up in the morning and you have a business, for example, and you wake up in the morning and you say, I need to do something because I'm afraid that my business will collapse. Or you just wake up and you say, what will happen to me if I lose my job tomorrow, or something like that. So this is constant fear. You always fear about the future. Why should we care? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He always said this for us 50,000 years ago, and what will happen to us, it will come definitely. Either we be fear or not. But the bad thing is, if we go the other way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not change our situation. It will not change our situation to the good. So that's how Sahaba they used to strive on the husn al-dhan billah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have a good thought about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next one is waswasa. Waswasa is the insinuations, and usually that comes from shaitan. Someone is sick, he has a disease, for example, and he was asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for cure. He went to hospital, got all doctors. I know it's a hard, and but at this time of sickness, Shaitan was do whisper to these people that Allah will not answer their call. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is what happened, including myself. So we are not 100% perfect, that we handle all the trial, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the help from Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to have a great husn dhan bi subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so the waswasa is one of them also. And ترقب زوال النعمة. ترقب زوال النعمة is watch for the grace to disappear. Watch for the grace to disappear is like I said earlier, it's like you're just afraid that sometime will goes away. So you have a house, you are afraid that your house will get foreclosed. You have a car, you are afraid that your car will break down. So there is so many things in life that sometimes they are minimal, but they impact our belief and our iman to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to anything that will comes in the future or anything that we live in. اللهم ارزقنا حسن الظن به سبحانه وتعالى يا رب آمين. The following one is, can we get a few examples of when a person would have a weak trust of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yes, this is.
When somebody, for instance, pray about something, he has a doubt that it's going to be answered, and when he doesn't receive what he wants, so he have like a weak trust in that.
Making dua.
Yes.
Yes, when you make dua. So when you make dua, that's a good thing. That's one example of where a person can have that weak trust to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any brothers has anything? I have a list. I can flow later, but if anybody, I'm trying to brainstorm everybody to get try to, and.
I think the onset of the crisis is the main test of showing your trust with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Mm-hmm.
At the onset of the crisis itself, and our point
Musiba.
this is the main
That's good. Yes.
After time, you say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. This is not the test. The test at the same moment of the crisis of the Muslim.
تمام. Jazakallah khair, brother. Any sister, any brothers? So inshallah, I will make the flow. So, but anybody has anything, he will can add it. So, the first one is a debt. So, and when we are on the bed to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the moment when shaitan will follow it through your life before even you're dead. And that moment that you're going to pass to die, shaitan still whispering you at the time to make in your mind that Allah is not gonna forgive you when you're going to wherever you're gonna go, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Jabir ibn Abdullah, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that he heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam 3 days before the Prophet passed away. And he said that let none of you die unless he has a good expectation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine if you are in a bed to die and you mistrust Allah and you say, Allah is not going to take me to Jannah, we'll go to hellfire. Allahumma najjina. We ask Allah protection from hellfire. And there is no return at the time. And Allah, He will take it at that time. Subhanallah. So this is very important. This is one of the advice that the Prophet has asked his companion. عند الشدائد والكرب, like the brother said, during adversity and distress, people, not all of us has patience. And if something happened to us like earthquake, like what's happened, subhanallah, in Gaza lately, for months in Gaza. And they do have a severe situation of distress, of their people getting killed. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make them, and we make dua for them all the time, and give them iman. And it's when you are in the shada'id and the kurab, that's where it's easy that the shaitan will impact you with his bad thinking about the trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second one, when life is tight. When life is tight and we don't have too much money. I have a family to feed, and I don't have any job. That's a bad situation. We don't ask Allah for it, but it might happen to someone. All kind of tests that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in each one. One person is sick, one person he has no wealth, he's poor. Make Allah easy, make it easy for everyone. So, and we have to be careful on all those situations. That this is where which shaitan play his most role. During this moment, that's where he impact all the believers. When debt prevail, the debt عند غلبة الدين means you have a lot of loan to pay and you can pay it. You try to ask your friends to help you to loan from them, but no one help at all. And at the time, instead of making dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you just your iman with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to go weak if you don't trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that your situation will be changed one day. Because effectively, if you think that will change, that of course it will change, because Allah promised it in the Quran. And when praying, when making dua, especially people when they go through sickness, when we and they are asking for cure from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People, they go through months of sickness. People, they have cancer. People, they have the disease. May Allah make shifa to all the brothers and sisters and all over the world. And so making dua, that's the time also when you have a situation, kind of sickness, that's where shaitan will come and whisper to you. And he will just come and tell you, who are you to that Allah will answer your dua? You're not doing good, you're not doing this. Allah, he's gonna, until you basically desperate for making call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, it just makes the situation worse. So, I will go to the next one. When doing sadaqat, when doing giving charities, that's where shaitan also play a role. If we have a fundraising, for example, shaitan got over because there is people, sometimes they I mean, I'm not saying people, they have a bad intention or anything, but that's where shaitan put on people's mind that if I give, I will be poor. And Bilal, radiallahu anhu, he was the poorest companion at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, "Infiq Bilal, wa la takhsha min Allah iqala." Yani, don't fear Allah that you're gonna get poor, but just give And subhanallah. And the shaitan at that moment is the shaitan. The shaitan, he whisper,